So we'll just make a start. Good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. We're really delighted that you've been able to join us this afternoon for what is the first of an early years STEM network. My name is Mary Thompson and I'm joined by my colleague Lynn Yenica. And we're delighted that you're here with us and we're thinking about STEM together. So as it says on the first slide, we are going to be recording this session and making it available to you and to colleagues who are not able to join along with us this afternoon. We are using the chat pane and we'll use a couple of other tools as well. So please feel free to kind of comment and we'll ask for a show of hands at one point. So please feel free to interact with us. We'd really love to hear your ideas, your comments and your suggestions. So moving forward, we're thinking first of all about STEM. What does STEM mean to you? This is an early years STEM network and we'd really love to hear your kind of thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions about what STEM means to you. So if you've got kind of fast fingers, if you're able to kind of pop them into the chat, we'll kind of reflect some of that conversation back to yourself and just part of that kind of participation and sharing ideas and thinking together. So as we've got on the slide there, we're really keen to think about diversity within the workforce and diversity within STEM. So that's the reason we've got this kind of image on the screen at the moment. So if we can, take a moment, have a chat if you're in a room with other colleagues. What does STEM mean to you? And this will kind of be the warm up for the rest of the kind of discussion. Lovely, thanks Caroline. You get a kind of wonderful for a big love for being first there. Investigation and exploration, really lovely to see some skills there.
Yeah.
Exploring and inquiring. And again, the chat will be there so people...
Curiosity, love it, love it.
Creativity and inventive. Developing curiosity and exploration of the world around us. Investigation, yep, linking learning, challenging, inquiry, problem solving. So lots of really lovely skills coming through us there. Really, really nice to see. Exciting, absolutely. Oh, I love it, Mrs. Reid, being a wee child. How often do we get to be a wee child and just explore and experiment and it just sounds lovely. And using the concept of play in early years to develop early skills young children need throughout their learning journey and life. Lynn, are you picking up others?
Yeah, I was just looking at Ashley's one there that you were as well. Lots of curiosity coming through, creativity, problem solving, very important ones. I think it's really useful that people are reflecting on the fact that it's just perfect for early years. It's absolutely perfect. Supported by adults, yeah, but the children are leading it, yeah. Getting grubby, love it.
And active involvement in the world around us, absolutely. Children and adults together in the world around us. There's so much inspiration that we have around us, from nature to vehicles to, you know, actually there's just so much around us. Nurturing nature and sustainability. Miss Conley, thank you so much. Yeah, so again, embedded in the curriculum and all.
Like that. I love when people say that, because that's exactly as it should be. It should be across the curriculum. It shouldn't just be standing alone. So yeah, absolutely embedded.
And awakening the child's mind to new ideas. And actually child's mind, adults' minds, families' minds, communities' minds, STEM can be such a powerful tool to do all of these things. And yet a sense of wonder. What beautiful words and lovely sentiments. Just imagine the children in your settings exploring STEM in this way. Kelly saying cognitive critical thinking and developing life skills. Yeah, a real richness there. That STEM, what does STEM mean to you? And that's great if you're on that kind of really for some STEM can be scary, STEM can be different, STEM can be something that's new or unfamiliar, and we want this to be a kind of safe space where people can explore some of that thinking too as well. We've got one coming through there from El Rooney, empowering our children to have aspirations to be part of the STEM workforce. Aspirations, yeah, thinking right now, you might be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but where can you go and what the experiences that you're offering within your settings, where can that take young people in their future? That's really exciting. And yeah, you can.
Like that as well, about, you know, you can be an engineer and making those links for children, because often there's an awful lot of, oh, there's a bad echo when I speak, should I stop? Is it still, are you still getting a bad echo? Baird Memorial when I'm speaking? Is that across the board? Not for
Mary
you.
asking, not for her.
Right.
No,
okay.
I'm fine, Lynn. It sounds
Okay.
fine here as well. It'll be something at that end.
Must be. Okay, thank you. Lots of no's. No, no, no. I've lost actually the one I was reading out now.
Just about commenting you're an engineer.
Yes, I think that's a really important thing, that it's not just about the learning, but it's actually about naming what you're doing as well and making sure the children are aware of the fact that, yeah, this is science, yeah, this is maths, and that's engineering, you know, and it is making those links right from an early stage to children so that they're naming what they're doing as well. I think that's really important.
Okay, moving
together, Mary. Right, we'll need to stop speaking together.
Okay, so thinking about that, we've got that really nice kind of basis, that platform, that excitement, that wonder. Wow, what a great place and a place to start this evening session. So today we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to quickly share an overview with us, but we're really keen, as we said, it would be participative in nature, and we're really keen to kind of shape a network, a national network with your help, with your support, because it's about you. You are the important people who are in your settings, in your schools, working with your learners, working with your families. So we're really keen that you will shape this session and the sessions moving forward. We are going to share with you some resource pointers that you may or may not be aware of, and we're thinking a little bit about the future dates and the focus for them. So that's what we're going to cover in the next sort of 40 minutes or so, and hopefully have some time for some chat again, as we said, moving forward. Lynn.
So as Mary's saying, we're just tonight's very much an information session for you. So just so that you're aware, there are STEM education officers and our improving gender balance and equalities officers in all the regions across Scotland. That's as you say, you're getting a copy of this presentation. It's going to be made available to you afterwards, so you don't have to frantically write down who's in your area. But as you can see, I cover the southeast. Mary's in Forth Valley. Mark, who's on the call, covers the north, including Argyll, Bute, Highlands and Western Islands and Orkney. And we have our IGBE colleagues who are also in those regions. We work very closely with our IGBE colleagues as part of the STEM strategy is about that improving gender balance in STEM as well. If we could just have the next slide, Mary. So the Improving Gender Balance and Equalities team, they have a remit just now that they're out for about 4 years, and they're challenging, as you can see, challenging the gender stereotypes, addressing unconscious bias, improving gender balance and subject uptake in learner pathways, and promoting whole establishment approaches to equality. And they are very much, yes, there is, Jen Hodson is the IGB person for the North. They're very keen to be in and about establishments, so if it's something you would like, please get in touch with them, and they will contact you directly about coming into your setting. But that's part of their remit, is to try and get into as many settings as possible in the time that they're out, and obviously that's been curtailed by COVID. So I'm sure as soon as things open up, they're going to hit the ground running, trying to get into as many places as possible. Okay, thank you, Mary.
So as we know, the network has come around because there's a STEM strategy for Scotland. It's been around since 2017. It lasts for sort of 5 years. Again, but legacy will take impact and activity beyond that. And the STEM strategy is for across 4 themes, and those 4 themes are on the screen at the moment, and they are excellence, equity, connection and inspiration. And it's really about the STEM strategy building the confidence, the expertise, the knowledge, the excitement, the appetite for STEM within our children, within our young people, and importantly within our families and our communities through our practitioners. So in terms of excellence, we're really thinking about excellent learning and teaching and quality experiences for our children, for our families. And really, as the words that you've kind of demonstrated this evening already, and STEM is about inspiration. It's about inspiring our children and our young people. So inspiration is a big element of the STEM strategy. We're thinking about STEM being for everybody, no matter your age, no matter your stage, no matter your background, no matter if you're in an area of deprivation or a rural area. STEM is for everyone, and it's about connecting us up with the STEM pipeline and the job opportunities that exist. and recognising there's lots of partners that you can do that with. And this may be familiar to you already if you've explored the STEM strategy. But the element that we want to kind of really emphasise is that at the early years, you are the foundational stage for some of this activity. What you do in the years that you have and the children and the families with you, it is so important, and it's for every single sector thereafter to look back and to see, wow, look at the amazing practice that's going on within the early years. So it really is, you are so important within the STEM strategy and within the pipeline for STEM moving forward. So as we were thinking earlier round about STEM and what STEM is, the STEM strategy defines STEM in the following ways. It can be about the individual disciplines of science, technologies, engineering and maths, but it really embodies and takes into account digital skills and the numeracy aspect, and not to mention that creativity woven through. And what was really interesting for me was when we were thinking about what does STEM mean to you, I don't know that there was many, if any, people picked out the aspects of STEM. It was very much that skills and that wonderful curiosity and problem solving that we created, that we create day to day in the establishments that you work in. And I think the beauty of STEM is about it can cross over all of these areas, and it's about that ability and the skills to work across and to work through these areas together. So that's just a little bit about how I suppose the STEM strategy sees STEM. It's not about individual elements, but it's about, yes, it is about that, but it's also about the power to work through and beyond these two. So moving forward, we're going to then think about shaping the network. This is obviously kind of session one, our first meeting, and we'd like really to think in fulfilling that need and thinking about that pipeline, and you as early years practitioners, early years leaders, head teachers, primary teachers, what support would you like from a network? Obviously we've got networks at different levels and different regions, and so really for us to think that through together. So if you're able to,
travelling in more places than that.
if you're able to pop across by popping into menti.com and popping in that code 75511048, and really have a think about what support you would like, as I say, from the STEM network. And we've just popped a wee picture from the Realising the Ambition document, and thinking about the previous slide about the aspects of STEM. Are there any particular aspects of STEM that you'd like support with, you'd like us to consider, you'd like us to explore or to share practice from? We're really keen to hear that, hear your ideas and your thoughts about that. And we'll just pop over, give you a wee moment to reflect on that. And we'll just pop over to our Mentimeter, and we'll hopefully start to see some ideas and thoughts coming through, and we're happy to share that back with you. So I'm just going to pause sharing this, and I'm going to move over. So thank you. We've got 4 people have added ideas already to the Menti, and we can scroll through these. Lynn, if you're able to confirm for me that you can see that, that would be great.
Yeah, can see it.
And you'll be able to see folks hopefully on the screen just now as people add more and more, and you can see the numbers climbing, how many people have kind of shared their thoughts and experience, and we're really happy to shape the sessions and networks moving forward from you. So it should just be scrolling. Hopefully it's not too busy for your eyes at the end of a long day.
Yep, I've seen people putting on about resources. We're going to come to that in a moment, so we will talk about resources. Practitioner confidence, that's a good one. I think that's often one that makes us hesitate to do STEM, is our own confidence in actually doing it. Yeah, confidence is coming up again. Sharing ideas, yeah.
We've got practical ideas, and we've got maybe connections across your region and your local authority. And again, we're really happy to support that, to facilitate that, and to connect you up with each other. You have that facility to do that yourselves, but also maybe some partners that can support that within your area. So more information I'm seeing on resources to encourage STEM outdoors. We're thinking one of the sessions in June that we would be focusing specifically on that, so really happy to see that. Yeah, and there's a couple that I'm just seeing out the corner of my eye there. Where to start, and somebody's a new practitioner, so any help would be great. And yet we've all been there. We've all been starting out as new practitioners in our settings. And sometimes there can be so much to look at and so much to consider. So I would encourage us to start with one thing, gain confidence for that, move on, and we'll be able to explore that again in future sessions. We've got relating STEM to realising the ambition. Yep, again, we're really happy to explore that together. Examples of high quality practice. So that's really nice to see. A couple of the future sessions, we've actually got some people on the call tonight who are going to be sharing some of their practice and what they do and have done for STEM within their setting. So that's really great to see. And not to forget, as we talked about there, the very beginning, so STEM opportunities with under threes in one of our settings can share that really nicely too. So thanks, we've got 63 people have kind of shared their thoughts. So more training incorporating STEM into our establishment, and that's lovely. So maybe in the kind of the feedback form at the end, we'd really love to hear specifically what your thoughts are about the needs that you have. We can do kind of general stuff. If there's more bespoke stuff, or bespoke asks, then we're happy to connect you with colleagues too who can support maybe some of more of this, the numeracy specific, digital specific, or whichever way we want to go with that one. So yeah, as much detail as you can in the end would be really, really helpful. Easy accessibility to help and support perhaps via email. Yet we can consider that. In actual fact, in this recovery year, Education Scotland had paused quite a lot of the sort of subject network specific information, and a lot of the information comes through the Scotland Learns newsletter. So that might be a place that you'd like to look at as a start for help and building a STEM community within local authority. So what we might do is, Lynn, if you're okay, that we move back to and feel free, yep. We've got lots of people, and we really are grateful for your thoughts and your ideas, because as we said at the start, this is about your kind of network and shaping it to be what you need it to do for you and your setting, your learners. So I'm just going to come back to the presentation again. There's Miss Bloomhoff, a lovely bit of feedback there. Thank you. Just taking an excellent resource for sharing ideas. Love it. Yeah, and actually it can do lots of different things and tools for you. I'll just leave it rolling in the kind of background so I can see if there's anything else that comes through. And Ashley saying Menti's great and it's so easy to use. Yet we're just kind of loading back up. So we're going to move forward. Yep. Just when the presentation comes back up, and thanks for your patience. I did say to my children not to be on the internet between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, just in case things kind of slow down for us a wee bit. So I'm just going to resume from where we were.
Yeah, what's really nice to see is a lot of the ideas that you're putting on Menti are things we've actually discussed as well. So it's quite nice to see that we're all on the same page here. So we are aware of a lot of the things that you put up, but it's great to hear it firsthand from you guys as well, what you're really wanting. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, very much so. And I guess this is just the kind of starting place for this network and this opportunity. So yeah, we're really keen and excited to hear your thoughts and your share and to share them back and to respond to them. So moving forward, we're going to cover a little bit. Oh, Lynn, I hope you're okay. Yep. We said that we would share with you a little bit about kind of STEM resources, and maybe if you were starting out or you've been doing STEM for a wee while, some kind of points and places that you might like to go that we know are already really, really good. And if you've done any of these or commented on them, it'd be really good to hear that too. So Lynn, thanks.
Yeah, so we've got this slide here and we really just highlighted 3 resources here, but the very last slide in the presentation has a list of more resources as well for you, but we thought these 3 were quite important ones, which is why we brought them to the fore for you to see. So the very first one is the STEM National STEM CPL module at the University of the West of Scotland. I'm wondering, yeah, I was just about to ask Hazel, if people like to put their hands up if they've actually done this module already, just to give us an idea of people. Yeah. Oh, quite a lot of people have done it. Loads of people have done it. Great.
Oh, fantastic.
Great. So about 17, 18 people have done it. So that's fabulous. So we just go to the next slide, Mary. Just for those of you who are not aware of this course, it is a free course open to anybody in the early years sector in Scotland. It's a kind of self-learning, self-support course, and it's very straightforward to get onto and to run through. And it has, I think there's kind of 4 wee modules in it that just kind of run, so you don't have to do it all in one big go. You can break it up and do it over. We did it last summer, Mary and I, and it's quite easy to do. We would thoroughly recommend it as well. I see other people putting in the chat that they've done it. Some people doing it now, people really recommending it. So we would thoroughly recommend you having a go at this course. Do we get a copy of the PowerPoint? Yes, you do, Kimberly. You do indeed. We'll be sending out a link to the recording of the PowerPoint. Okay, so that's there. It's good to know so many people have already taken part in it, and as I say, it's a great thing to do, and it's supported by ourselves as well. Okay, thank you, Mary. So just going back to that original slide, just recently we launched our STEM online resource, and that's number 2 on the slide there, and we did a very soft launch of it. We'd hoped to do a much bigger launch, but given we were in the middle of COVID and whatnot and lockdown, it's just out there. So the link's there to go to it and have a look at it. By all means, give us feedback on it. We're open to feedback on it, but if we could just click on the arrow and then the next slide, Mary, please. So if you go to it, it takes you to this home page, and as you can see, a whole lot of things on there. There's practice, there's resources, there's professional learning, there's a bit on the STEM awards. Right now our big thing is our STEM grants of 2021, which have just been launched last month, and they're open for anybody to apply for. We are going to do, our next session is very much going to focus around our STEM grants. We're going to have examples of practice from the previous 2 rounds of STEM grants in the early years, so that if you're thinking about it, you'll have people who will be on the call who will be able to talk to you about what they did. The STEM awards are also on there, and that's also going to form part of one of our other sessions, and we'll also have examples of people who have taken part in the STEM award scheme, the pilot scheme, which hopefully will be launched properly later this year. So there's a lot of information on there, a lot of links to a lot of places. That's the whole point of it. It's we talk about it being a one-stop shop, that hopefully you can go on and find stuff there that might be of use to you. I'm always concerned because I often get told by early years practitioners that there's nothing for us, and I can assure you we have taken that on board, and there is stuff for early years in these resources that we're talking about, specifically aimed at early years. So please don't think just because it's a big resource for everybody that there's not something there for you guys. There definitely is. Okay, Mary? And the very last one that I'm going to go to is the STEM Wakelets. Now, we produced these during the kind of first lockdown, and if we can just click on those, Mary. And what these are is they're a collection of resources, online resources. Now, when you go through to this link, it takes you to this page, and if Mary just clicks, we'll be able to see it a little bit bigger. So in the STEM Wakelets, we've got a whole list of Wakelets. They're a collection of links to materials online that can be used for anything from science, early level science, to STEM. And in that STEM one, there are early years resources, learning for sustainability and outdoor learning. Again, there are early years ones in there. Outdoor activities for families, just that, they are outdoor activities for families from teenies right up to older children. If we could just click on it again, Mary. So if you click on this, it brings you to these icons, and I just wanted to quickly mention, because I have had people come back to me and say, no, there's not very much in there. If we look at the STEM one, you can see it says 40 items in there. If you look at the science one, it says 4 items. There are not 4 items and 40 items. There are 4 titles and lots of things underneath all of these. And as you can see, even in the early years, there's 19 items. There's far more than that. Really, the best thing I can recommend you do is go in and have a look around and see what's there. Mary, if we could just click on, we're going to just quickly go into the STEM Nation one, which is just for STEM. And on to the next slide, Mary. And if we go into that one, again, it brings you up a whole lot of resources. And this is just a snapshot of some of these resources. So you can see there's various things in there. There's a STEM conference from last year. There's this STEM activities for toddlers. There's 20 days of hands-on STEM for kids. We're going to just quickly just delve into the STEM activities for toddlers, if you don't mind, Mary. Okay.
This is for
yeah.
the link. Yeah, we'll pop that in. We'll come on to that in if that's okay,
Yeah.
Mrs. There's Ashley. Oh,
there you go. Well done, Ashley.
Oh, lovely.
So if we just click on that STEM activities for toddlers, Mary, just the next. Yep. So that takes you straight to the web page, and you can see there easy STEM activities that can be done. Now, Mark, who's also on the call, and I were actively involved in creating these Wakelets. So we both know for a fact that there is stuff there from literally 0 onwards. There are activities in there that you can do with babies and small toddlers, as well as, your early years, your nursery children. And, there's lots and lots of activities there that are just there for you to click on. And as you saw the titles that we had, it's in there. Yeah. Little bins for little minds. I love it too. And there's loads of outdoor learning stuff on there as well, so feel free to go in and don't be afraid to click on the primary science stuff as well, because a lot of that can be simplified for your early years. Don't be afraid of it. There's a lot of activities in there that they're not just for primary, so please feel free to click on any of those. Okay, Mary? Okay. Do you want to go? I don't want to keep us talking to each other. If you want to go on, Mary.
So again, we were thinking about, it's lovely, Susie saying what a great resource and saying thanks. I wonder, we did ask for hands up about the University of West Scotland module. I wonder if we could have a show of hands just to see if people have used the Wakelets. I'll just kind of nip back to that slide there. If you're possible, could you put up your hands and just say, yep, so we've got a couple of people, and obviously Marianne and Ashley were super fast in finding the Wakelet link, or they know, they're familiar with it. So that would be really good to know too. I think we've got a few people with their hands up. Again, maybe not something that's really well known, and that's what we were hoping to. So we've got 4 hands up at the moment. So that's why we thought at the first session we would sort of even give you a chance just to be made aware of these resources and the links that are there. And time after today, hopefully you'll be able to explore and to see what's there for you. And again, if you've got suggestions, if you've got thoughts about what more we could add to that, if you're aware of a resource, we'd be really happy to hear about that and to add it to the Wakelet and to make it available for practitioners kind of across Scotland. Yeah, Kimberly, it looks fab, and Susie's saying too. So yeah, there was a kind of lot of thought and work went into it at the time in responding to the COVID pandemic from colleagues to pull that together. But yeah, happy to continue to improve. So we said that this is the first session of 5, and as we've alluded to already, in shaping the network, we've obviously sort of some thoughts that we would share with you, but we're really keen, as we've said throughout, to share that with your help and support. So next, on the 5th of May, we've got a focus on, I think it's the STEM grants. I might get this slightly wrong, Lynn, you're nodding to me because I'm holding dates and in my head's not my best forte, if I'm honest. But so we've got the grants focus on the 5th of May. I think on the 19th of May, we're thinking about the STEM Nation Award, which is a new award. We had pilot settings take part in this previous, in the case of the last academic year. And then we're hopefully rolling that out nationally, and the stuff, as Lynn has said, is on the STEM Nation blog. So we'll be having a kind of closer look at what that means if you're starting out with STEM in your setting or you're a wee bit further down the road. Again, it's something that you can do in bite-sized chunks. You don't have to do it all at once. So we're having a kind of closer look at that on the 19th of May. And we've got kind of any last minute kind of grants questions as well. The 2nd of June, we're looking at a kind of sharing practice session, very much with our colleagues that we've already kind of engaged with through the STEM Nation Award in other ways. And on the 16th of June, I know it's quite late, but we are thinking about ideas for the summer and taking STEM outdoors. And again, thinking that STEM, as you'll know, in the early learning and childcare world and early years world, isn't just for when the weather's nice. It's for all year round. So, and there's Hazel saying that she's already looking forward to sharing the journey on the 19th. So thank you that. Susie, a wee question about signing up for forthcoming sessions. Yeah, we'll pop the link into the chat at the end about signing up for that. But yes, and I think we're really keen in sort of shaping the network, what was going to work best for people. We've had advertised sessions 1, 2 and 3 recently, not 4 and 5. They're still kind of in our development stage at the moment. But yeah, we'd be really keen to talk with you about what would be a good platform. Lynn, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm just realising as well that I kind of, when I went over the grants, I didn't actually put the link for the grants in the chat pane for anybody who's thinking about looking at the grants. So that's a direct link there for you. At the moment, we're running some sessions, just kind of going an overview of what the application process is like and just outlining everything. So those sessions are ongoing, and if you go into that particular link and scroll down through the page, you'll see a whole list of dates there that you can actually again sign up for and come along. Some of these are at lunchtime, some of them are later on in the afternoon, some of them are a wee bit later again, varying times from half an hour to an hour, to give you a chance to come in and actually speak to people specifically about grants. Sorry, Mary, carry on. I just wanted to say that while it was still in my head.
That was really helpful. I'm sorry, I was trying to type for Baird Memorial Nursery. And just to say that if you've joined after the start, we are going to share the PowerPoint. We're going to share the recording with you, if you know, to the email that's signed up as well. So Miss Cairns, just kind of wee question there, which is really valid, and I think that was what we factored in when we were thinking about the timing. If according to work rotas we're unable to attend, yes. Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we want to make available. All of the recordings and all of the sessions, just because we know that with kind of different shift patterns, it's not always possible to commit to the same time for everyone. So yeah, and we're kind of trying to make it accessible for everyone. So hopefully that's kind of a wee overview of the network sessions that we have planned and that we've considered so far. And that's a sort of a flavour of it. So what I'm going to come back to just now is to share, we have a few more people added into the Mentimeter in terms of what support you would like. And as we think about, you know, the last couple of slides that we've got to share with you before we open up to sort of conversation, is thinking about what support would you like from the Early Years Network, and thinking about this question, what else would you love to explore? So I'm going to show you, first of all, back and reflect back to you some of your sort of wonderings and suggestions for what support you would like, so that you can engage with that first of all before we move on to what else would you like the network to do for you. So hopefully you can see that now. Lynn, can you confirm for me?
Yep, it's there, Mary.
So again, just a wee chance to look back to see what support you would like. If there's anything that's occurred to you as we've been talking, as Lynn shared the grants or the Wakelets or the STEM Nation blog, or indeed the University of West of Scotland module, anything that's kind of jumping out to you at the moment, just to flag that up to us, or to have that seed and hold on to it, and we'll plant it in the next activity. So I'm going to move on, and thanks for your engagement with that. Lynn, anything that you want to reflect back at?
No, as I say, I see a lot in there that we've already discussed, Mary, of things that we want to share with you. And, you know, we are aware, we put out annual surveys, and we are aware that there's, you know, that the biggest thing that people want is training. And that really forms a huge part of our STEM grant process as well, that the STEM grants are to provide the money for people to develop CLPL for practitioners. So if you're doing something really well in your setting and you think it might be useful, then maybe you want to think about applying for a grant to share that more widely with the wider EY community. I like that. Reliable information and resources, not twinkle.
So hopefully that's been helpful, just to kind of reflect that back to you. So having thought about that, having thought about what we've shared with you, we'd really love if you would engage with this. And thank you so much for the people who are quick off the mark and have kind of noted that from this slide and have engaged with it already. So as we think about sort of closing and moving towards closing up this first network session and moving into kind of sort of question and discussion time, what else would you love to explore? So we've alluded to some things. What else would you love? And it's great to see we've got 4 people engaging with us already, and that will really see the sort of the main priorities. As you know, word clouds, and the thing that's the biggest, the word that appears the biggest is the thing that most people have entered into their kind of search and pasted in. So again, we'll let that run and hopefully see the numbers climb, so that it will give us the moving forward.
Mary, just while people are doing that, I see Alison Adams, you've got your hand up. Is that a hand up from before, or is there something you want to come in and ask?
It was just something that I was wanting to ask.
Yeah.
The grant,
Yes.
can there be like multiple applications from one authority, or does it have to be
Yes.
one application per authority?
No, not at all. There can be multiple applications, as you're saying, from authorities. The grants are split into 2 sections, the leadership and collegiate ones, which are sort of for centres and clusters to apply for. And there's also the regional one, which can be from an authority. But I can even give you an example. In the southeast, the grants from round 2, we had ones from authorities, and within that authority we also had the leadership and collegiate ones as well. So no, there isn't any limit to who can apply. There'll be a moderation process that every grant will have to go through. So there's no guarantee for anybody that just because they're applying for something majorly as an authority that grant will go through. It's about value for money. It's about what we feel is going to actually add value to the whole STEM setting. I hope that answers your question, Alison.
I see a question from Steve Murphy. We'll come to that in just a wee moment, if that's okay. I see Helen's popped into the chat links to the curriculum. Helen, it'd be really good to know a wee bit more what you're thinking about in terms of the curriculum, to maybe explain that a wee bit further. And I realise that some people don't necessarily have access to the Menti, so if you can, Helen, that would be really appreciated to sort of just explore that a wee bit more. Feel free to kind of type or to kind of come on and to share that too. Someone's hand has it just gone down, Lynn? I just think it might have done. Okay, great.
Yeah, it was C. Murphy. I don't know if they want to come back in. Oh, hand's gone back up. He's like, yeah, C. Murphy, do you want to just unmute and come in? Or is it a wee mistaken hand? Yeah. Mary, do you want to discuss with Abigail Buckley about the childminding?
Yeah, certainly, Abigail. I'm just noticing you're a childminder and looking to apply on behalf of yourself and another childminder. So, yes.
Hello, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Hello. I'm just on to apologise. I can't get on to anything on my phone at the moment. It's just I can see everything, but I can't get on to put any input on. So I don't know why.
Okay. There'll be an evaluation at the end. If you take a note of that, and if there's any comments, there's a comment section on that. So if there's anything you want to add that you've not been able to add or put into the session, then please just fill that in the comments section, and that way we'll get all your views as well.
That's great. Thanks a lot.
No problem. No problem.
I'm just thinking Mark's on the call. Mark's already worked with the Scottish Childminding Association. Mark, are you able to come in and share with your thoughts round about Abigail's question? Oh, no, it will pick that up. Pick that up again. Christine, I see you've got a kind of question.
Was it another mistaken hand?
Okay, we have 25 people have sort of filled in the Mentimeter just now. That's great. Abigail, I'll have a chat with you at the end if that's okay.
Just say the same. Abigail, what region are you in? By all means, unmute and just come in.
In Edinburgh, Lynn.
In Edinburgh, right. That's fine. That's also my region as well, Abigail. So I'm quite happy to also have a further discussion with you on that as well. But we'll get a wee chance for a chat at the end. But I can speak to you specifically at some point.
Thank you.
So we've got, so the biggest thing is coming through about training. So I guess that would be really, that's the kind of biggest word. We've got some sharing practice and examples. So there's quite a few things in there, but training is the biggest one, and obviously kind of scoping out what that training could look like for you, with you, and sort of local needs as well. So that would be really, really happy to do that. And I think I noticed one, there's creating QR codes. Again, there's lots of really nice things you can do within your community around creating QR codes and following trails and looking for things and capturing that digitally too. So that's really a nice one to explore too. Ashley, I see you've got kind of a question. Do you want to kind of unmute and come in and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. I was just thinking in terms of setting up a network and stuff, and obviously there's a lot of excellent resources there you've signposted us to in terms of seeing practice from others and so on and ideas. But in terms of having that network, is there anywhere that people can go to chat about this, like informally rather than like a training, or is there anywhere that we can get the conversation going?
That's kind of what we're aiming to do, Ashley. What we'd really like to do is set up a national network of early years STEM practitioners, and from that then break it down into the regions, and even furthermore, if people feel the need for it, to break it down into local authorities as well. So it's very much at the initial stages for that. But by giving us your details, I mean, that's part of this filling in the registration and the evaluation documents. It starts to give us information about who's interested in these things, and we can then begin to look at it regionally. And from the regions, as I said, we've got STEM officers in all the regions. Then the STEM officers in the regions will begin to collate those local networks. That's our hope and our plan. We do feel there's a need for it, and we do feel there's an ask for it as well. So that's what we're hoping to do long term. These sessions that we're running just now are very much a kind of introductory sessions for all this stuff. But the hope from that is that we will form this early years STEM network across Scotland.
Brilliant. That's great.
Hope that answers your question.
No, it's great to hear. Sometimes the best CPD you go on is actually just going to sessions and talking to people and getting ideas from practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
And I think that's what the network should be about. It's creating those opportunities for people to actually meet with each other and to discuss what's going on locally and visit the nursery that's 2 miles down the road and see what they're doing. So we definitely, without a doubt, we've got a need to do that, Ashley.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks very much for sharing your thoughts and your ideas. And again, with the numbers kind of we are aware of, as Lynn says, and as Ashley said too, about continuing that conversation and making those kind of connections out with. It's not necessarily possible in a kind of big call like this. So there's Miss Cook saying we do this for outdoor learning within our local authority and a STEM, is it STEM ideas or a STEM network? Or I'm just wondering, Miss Cook, that's what you're meaning around that kind of STEM network for the local authority? STEM network, super, okay. And again, we'd be really keen, I don't know if you've shared which local authority that you're in, but we're really keen as kind of regional officers, Lynn, myself and colleagues, to sort of pair up and to support that activity regionally, nationally and locally as well. And we've got people on the call today who in actual fact are going to be coordinating some of that work and linking with practitioners and local authorities to East Ayrshire. Great, okay. So our colleague Lorraine Ross would be really keen to talk with you around that. She's not on the call this evening, but we're happy to link that too. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come back to the presentation and we're going to pop in, that's the end of what we have to share with you formally this evening. We're going to pop in just the kind of evaluation. Miss Bloomhoff, should I just email other staff to create a network? Yeah, that would be really ideal, proactive thing to do. Why not? Absolutely. Yeah, empowerment. Go ahead and do it and help to influence what we look at and explore together and some of the local.
Yeah, but please copy us into that as well. Please let us be part of that with you as well. What region are you in? No, Ms. Bloomhoff, I'm just asking what region you're in. If you can either type it in or just North Lanarkshire, okay. So your regional officer is Margaret Craw at Education Scotland, and I'm sure she'd be very keen and very interested to know of any network that you're creating in North Lanarkshire. But yes, absolutely. If you've got the wherewithal to create these things yourself, then we are quite happy for you to do so. But we would like to be linked into it because, as I say, that we would like to form that sort of. Yeah, I'll type that in a second. We would like to be able to link it to a national network as well. We realised during the advent of Corona that we can now carry out these video meetings and whatnot. So it would be quite nice to have some national meetings going on as well, maybe a couple of times a year. It would be nice to have regional meetings, and then it would be nice to have local authorities. So yeah, absolutely have your North Lanarkshire network, and then include it in the West Partnership, and then include it in the national. So there's a couple of North Lanarkshire teachers there saying they'd be quite happy to get involved as well. So that's super.
And it could be that on the back of this, you come to the kind of next session and we're thinking about the grants process, and it could be those connections that are informally made here can lead to something bigger, and that kind of grant application. So Mrs. Reid, if you're in the Northern Alliance, an existing network, please let me know and I'll pass on. That's grand. If you're in the Northern Alliance, super. And again, begun networking in Midlothian, and that's really exciting. That's what we're hoping will come from these sessions and from you making connections as well. But as Lynn said, that we're really happy to journey with you, and it can influence what we do on a national level as well as to hear from you. So again, it's that sort of symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm Midlothian, so I'm very happy to be involved in any of the ones with Midlothian. I work quite closely with AT Laurie, so please just drop me an email to get me involved in these things. There's also quite a nice Midlothian network already, but probably not for early years, but I can also put you in touch with them. So, that's where the education officers can add value to these things, because we can perhaps put you in contact with other people in your region that you maybe haven't already realised are doing STEM work in the region.
So lots of connections being made in sort of North Lanarkshire and the West region already, which is grand and lovely to see that. Really nice to see that spreading, because we know it's been a need and we know it's been a kind of it's not happened thus far. So we're really keen to kind of support that and move that forward with you. So if you have, Linda popped in the link to the evaluation, and again, it's not onerous. The questions are optional. We've not made them compulsory, but we're really keen just to kind of hear your thoughts as well. And that's great to see that North Lanarkshire has got a team page for STEM. Lots of local authorities have and are developing these. It's just about maybe raising that awareness too. So last week's slide, we said we would share with you round about the resources that are available. We've already talked about the top three, which are the UWS module, the online resource, and wouldn't it be great if by the time we come together again, that more people had sort of enrolled in that UWS module and had maybe taken part in some learning and can share that. That'd be really nice to see. And we've also mentioned the kind of wakelets. Lynn, is there anything else that you'd like to sort of talk through with that one?
No, just the bottom one. I'm just going to mention it because I know it's not STEM, it's sciences, but on the Glow Sciences PLC, there is specifically an early years section, which people often don't realise. They think it's all going to be about primary and secondary and senior phase, and it isn't. There is actually some early years science on there, which is quite useful as well.
Great. So we did promise you that we would be finished by there's Mrs. Vass, thanks for popping in that kind of the network from North Lanarkshire. That's really great to see. And I think maybe it's sometimes just awareness of these things being shared amongst colleagues. So we're going to ask, we've had a colleague, Ian Fife, on the call, who has really gratefully recorded the session for us to make it available to those who couldn't join us. We're probably going to end the recording just now. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. I think we were to pop in a couple of links. But before we finish, we just want to say really thank you for giving of your time on a sunny day, on a hot day, first week or second week back after the spring break, and a busy term for lots of people. Or if you're a 52-week setting that maybe you've been working, or a 50-week setting you've been working all through, we really appreciate you giving of your time on this busy Wednesday and warm Wednesday evening to join us and to help shape this moving forward. So